Okay, we've been giggling a lot before this call, and so we both look like we've been wiping away tears. Hello everybody, I'm here with Jane Jenkinson from Wholefood Family, one of my favourite people to talk about fermentation and gut health with. Before we start, I wanted to quickly let you know, in case you weren't aware, that my What to Eat program is starting in 2 weeks' time, and this is the last one until the year 2020, which is we're only skipping 1 year. We're going to make babies next year, so everything's planned in my house. And we have a competition running over on the Eat Drink Paleo page. We're giving away a ticket, and that ends at 11 p.m. tonight, Wednesday, Sydney time. And the good news is that if you don't make that competition, we're actually starting another one tonight on my Stir and Change page, and also in my What to Eat chat group. So if you can search for that and come into there, we're giving away one ticket on each platform. And they will end on Saturday. I'm doing another Facebook Live on Saturday to talk about powdered gelatin and my thoughts on powdered gelatin and what the alternatives are. So tune in for that, and that's when I'll announce all the two winners. I think that's all I wanted to say before we start, other than cough up a lung. This just arrived, Holly Davis's Ferment. It just arrived in the post yesterday.
Such a gorgeous
and
book.
It is, I've never in my entire life, am I exaggerating? I don't think I am. Superlatives. It is the most stunning masterpiece of a book that I have ever come across. If you're interested in fermenting, you must borrow a copy to flick through it and then buy it. It is absolutely, it's just for an experienced fermenter, or even for beginners. The recipes are beautiful, the photos are beautiful, everything about it is just...
And the stories that go with the food are gorgeous too.
Poetry, everything. Yeah. It's just the most perfect book, and I know that she was working on it for quite a while. Holly, you've done such an amazing job. I must tag her at the end of this, and absolutely. You must also remind us, please, before I introduce Jane, we have some of Jane's receipts folded, holding up a wobbly table. So before we go, can you please
remind us that they're there, because I need to take them home.
We're both kind of a little bit scatterbrain type people. We may forget, and it's very important. So yeah, Jane from Wholefood Family, who you've been on your journey for quite a while. Do you want to introduce yourself and what you're doing and your kvass? I don't know if you want to mention that now or later, but how did you get on this journey? How did you end up where you are doing what you're doing?
Yeah, sure. So I guess it started for us, we're looking at almost 10 years ago now. So 10 years it's been.
Yeah.
I had never fermented a thing in my life. I was not, I just had no idea about fermented foods. We used to live in Sydney and we used to eat kimchi. So this is where fermenting as a practice started, because we're eating kimchi there in the Korean restaurant. We thought, this is delicious, how do we make it? So we found Sandor Katz's book, The Art of Fermentation, and then made kimchi and fell in love. So that was our first recipe. Had no idea it was good for us. So then 10 years ago...
And it feels quite naughty, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, it was kind of like...
extravagant flavours.
But you're eating it thinking, I think this is okay.
Yeah.
I think I've done this right. I'm not quite sure what I've harnessed and what I've brewed, but we'll just go with it. But our son, who's now 13, when he was 4 years of age, we had to do a microbiome test, like screening test on him, and it came up with a totally topsy-turvy gut picture. So everything that should have been good was bad, and everything that shouldn't have been there was 100% in his gut. So we had to do a really radical lifestyle change. We were already, from what my knowledge was back then, we were good eaters. So, we got the organic box every week, and we had, no sugar at all in his diet. He didn't eat wheat. He wasn't, growing up on rusks or forage or anything like that. So he was a well brought up baby. I had an awesome pregnancy and birth. There was no sickness, no antibiotics that he touched. And yet here he was with a topsy-turvy gut. Back tracing it, we think I used to live in Brazil, and I picked up many a thing living over there, drinking their water, eating their food, and being a totally different lifestyle to what we have here is probably to do with that, I would say.
Did you get sick over there and have an infection that lingered at all?
Yeah, totally. So I got really sick and got
hospitalised. Same story that everyone, if you go to Asia or any of these countries and you pick up an infection and then it just never really goes
away. Yeah, absolutely. So it was a long-standing gastro-y thing, as you do. So anyway, he got this, I want to say diagnosis, but it wasn't, a square in the box diagnosis, but something that we got told that we could help and heal. and got given a very grim picture that if we didn't, this is kind of the road you're looking at. So we had, in our minds, no choice, had to learn all this stuff. So we just threw ourselves into, you know, gluten-free, playing with coconut flours, learning about sprouting and you know, no refined
and everyone
anything.
kind of knows about that now, and there's blogs everywhere, and back then that would have been a little bit harder.
Yeah, it was really tricky. Yeah, and coconut flour was not something that you would find anywhere. Yeah,
Woolies has it now. Coles,
I know.
Everywhere now.
It's amazing. So all the stuff we had to buy and find and learn how to play with was different, and then fermenting foods was such a big part. So we actually had to import a probiotic from Germany. So there wasn't the strains that he needed here in Australia. We had to actually bring that over. So that was a really big expensive cost to bring the probiotics across. But when you do that kind of investment, you don't want to give him a probiotic and then let it die. You know, we understood the bacteria needs to be living. It's like a plant. You have to plant the seed and then help it to grow. And so we were lucky to have that bit of information and understand that that was something we had to do. So it was learning all about prebiotics, probiotics, fermented foods, and the food to heal his gut. We retested him probably 2 years ago now, and we're awesome, back on track and doing fine.
Really, really cool.
Took us that long to retest just because, you know, I have 3 kids and
life gets in the way.
Life gets in the way. He looked fine, so we were like,
dying.
so it wasn't that we were waiting that long. It didn't take that long to heal. It took us that long to kind of go, we should probably get some confirmation that we're actually good.
Well, it's a pretty amazing story. And so how did you, like the rest of the family, how old were the other?
So he was 4. I was pregnant with my 3rd, and my other one was 2.
Okay. And so how did you get the whole family on board with that?
We just didn't give them a choice, really. It was just, this is everyone's food. It wasn't this is for him, this is for us. We just went, if we're doing this, we're doing it as a family. If it's going to be good for him, it can only be good for us. That was our attitude. Rather than it being a him and us food and making him feel ostracized and, you know, in this little bubble. We just kind of went, you know, there's nothing bad that he's eating. It's all good food. We may as well just do the same thing. So it was just, this is your choices, and it was, we always give choice. It's not like you can't eat that. It was like,
just, do you want the kimchi or the sauerkraut?
Totally, exactly.
or
do you want your eggs scrambled or boiled? You know,
it works with kids. And so for people who obviously, anyone who's sort of known this information before they've had babies, they're eating it during pregnancy. Any child who's exposed to flavours in the womb, they come out loving it. My child loves the weirdest stuff because I ate everything in pregnancy, all the spices. He eats chili, he eats anchovies, he eats liver. If you're dealing with children, if there's mothers out there now who have children who have not been introduced to this, how do you get them on board with that as an older child, do you think?
So we spoke about this earlier. We did what's called the Captain Cook method, right? So Captain Cook method is where you put your food on a pedestal. So we don't say to our kids, or we didn't say to our kids when it was time to introduce it, here's this new thing I want you to try.
It's going to be really good. It's going to be
really good. Just take
really
a taste. Exactly. Have a little bit. You know, just try it. Just swallow this little bit, and then I'll give you this as a treat, as a reward. There was never this whole sneaky thing. It was more
because they're very smart.
They're so smart. I mean, food is marketing for kids. If you can market it appropriately, they're going to want in, right? So we made it amazing and special and exclusive. So we went, all right, here's this amazing nutritious thing that's going to make us feel unique. Not unique, but it's a unique food. It's going to make us feel awesome. It's on my plate, and I'm going to eat it, and I'm going to feel awesome. It's like a, you know, a superpower food. And so we'd eat it and go, oh my God, this is amazing. This is so awesome. I love it. And, you know, we'd talk about it together as, you know, husband and wife, and go, this is just making us feel fantastic. And naturally the kids go, can I try some? And we're like, oh, but you know, this is mine.
It's like
I like sharing
champagne.
But
You know how much they want to sip of your beer and your champagne, and you just treat it like that.
Exactly. It's like
that simple.
It's an exclusive thing.
It's really an adult's food. Okay, you can have a little taste.
Exactly. So make it something really, really special, but something that's a little bit out of reach. And the more desire you build up, the more they're going to want and ask for it. When they eat it, their face is going to screw up, and they're going to go, oh, yum, and they're gonna love it's amazing. And so they get this idea and this preconception of what it's going to do for them, irrespective of the flavor. So they've already overcome that it's going to, you know, be something amazing, and then the flavor's like this, like insignificant part of it, and then they eat it because everyone else is eating it and everyone else wants it, and then they're eating sauerkraut out the jar.
It really is that simple, isn't it?
It is.
I think unless you've used that, unless you're a bad actor, If you're a bad actor and they can see through it, it's pretty easy though.
Or if you don't like it, I think that's the thing. If you can't stomach it and you're screwing your face up first, it's going to take a lot more to get them to eat it.
So eat it in private.
Get used to it.
Get used to it.
But the thing is, your body's quite amazing in it will tell you how good it is for you. So even though the flavour's not going to be so great for you, give it time. So keep on tasting stuff. It's meant to be 30 times to eat something before you recognise the flavour, another 20 before you kind of choose if you like it or not.
It doesn't take that long with kimchi though.
No,
kimchi's a bang. I'm addicted.
I love. So there's a lot of tasting, and then so my youngest, when we were drinking kvass. So kvass is a drink that we make. It's a beetroot ferment.
Do you want to talk about that now?
Yeah, I'll jump over in a second. we were drinking kvass, and my youngest wanted to try it. Same thing, goes, oh, it's really special, maybe. And anyway, he had a drink, he had a sip, and he just goes, oh my god, that's disgusting. And then we're like, okay, no worries, it's mine anyway. Came back the next day and he goes, Mum, can I have that yucky pink drink again? And so for like a month he was asking for the yucky pink drink. So for him it was still yucky, but his body knew that he wanted it. Yeah, he's like, I want it, but I still don't like it, but I want it.
Yeah. And then you just develop a taste for it. I mean, the kvass, I had one sip. When did you give it to me? I was pregnant.
You were pregnant.
Pregnant up here. We were doing something. I don't know what we were
filming for the What to Eat program. You're feeding that amazing farm that's like passionate about soil.
Yes, that's right. I was like, what? Who? Glenn Morris.
Yes.
Farmer Glenn Morris up here. That's right. And I was pregnant, and we had the most amazing toasty. I can still remember what was on it.
That's Ben from Apothecary. He does amazing food.
Oh, so good. And then you gave me a bottle, and I started drinking in the car, and I basically had the whole thing in one day. And every time you give me a bottle, like, I think is it $25 a bottle?
Yeah.
And they're beautiful. And she said, yes, I didn't realise when you gave a talk at one of my things last time, you're like, put a shot into some soda water. I'm like, that's a good idea. That'll make it last longer. Every time you give me a bottle, I drink it. I just have a little sip, and then I go back to the fridge, and then another little sip, and then and it never lasts a day in my house. So it's dangerous, but I want to get a keg installed in my house.
Your new kitchen.
So tell people how that started.
Sure. So
that's exciting.
Kvass was a research thing, I suppose. We started reading into fermented foods and what ones do what for your body.
Yeah.
And Kvass just kept on standing out for us as something that had so many benefits. We just thought that it was something we really wanted in our lives. Sandor Katz does a great write-up about it in both of his books, in The Art of Fermentation and in his original Wild Ferment. Yeah, so we read it, we got to try it. We made it first time around, and my God, it was literally congealed blood. It was thick, and it was red, and it was gloopy, and it was
What's
salty.
the ratio? Is it lots of beetroot to water or something?
So
I haven't made his recipe ever.
Yeah, so his was it was probably half. So probably in a big jar, probably had half of beetroot, but they use a lot of salt in America. So there's a solid tablespoon of salt in a litre of water. Yeah. I just think the volume of sugars that were released from the beetroot, it has this congealing quality anyway. Yeah. So it congealed, and it slugged out of the jar and slugged into a glass, and hubby and I looking at each other going, are you going to try it first? Am I going to try it first? And we're like, surely with all this raving, something's got to, something went wrong. Yeah. And so we just kept on plugging away. It took us 2 years to nail down the recipe that we've got now. Wow. And what we do. And from it being, like awesome and delicious, I started selling it at my workshops. Yeah. So I'd have it there available for people who would come to the workshops, would start the workshop off with a shot of kvass. And then at the end, everyone's like, can I buy that bottle that we just drank? And I'm like, it's a half-drunk bottle. But they were just desperate for it. So we started producing more for the workshops, and then friends would call in between workshop times asking for it. Exactly, and it just grew. Then I had friends with a naturopath office who said, hey, we want to stock it here because we have friends who need it. And it just grew, and to the stage where, August, where are we now? A year ago, we launched commercially. Yeah. And are you allowed to say what? Yeah, so brewing in the pipelines. We're just in the throes of building our own brewery. So our own kvassary.
That's very, very, very cool.
Yeah, it's really exciting.
So I have questions written down.
Yeah, go for it.
So we've talked about kids. What would your tips be for? I guess there are quite a few beginner questions. Obviously, some people have tried some ferments and then they're a beginner. Everyone's a beginner at something.
Sure.
Like I'm looking at half of Holly's book and I'm like, I've never tried half of those recipes. What are your, I guess, general tips to people when they're first getting started, and what are the things that sort of more likely guarantee success, and what are the things that more likely trip people up if they don't remember them?
I think one thing that we don't take into consideration too much in Australia is temperature. I think temperature's a real biggie. So anything over 35 degrees in your house is going to enhance the opportunity of yeast and bacteria that aren't so friendly for your body. So if you can keep things under 28 degrees, that's like even under 25, then you're going to have a better outcome. So really hot days, like summer in Australia, really hot days are going to turn your sauerkraut mushy. So even though you've followed all the steps, you'll get a soft, squishy, almost cooked sensation in your sauerkraut. It won't be pleasant.
And more likely, somebody mentioned the calm yeast floating on the top. Do you want to talk to what that looks like?
Calm yeast, it looks like a wrinkled white sheet, like a bed sheet. So if you imagine if you put your white bed sheet on your bed and you throw it up and it comes down, it crinkles up, that's what calm yeast looks like. Mold is islands of rounded pillows. Calm yeast is flat with crinkles. Calm yeast will crack when you touch it, and islands of mold will just smooth. You won't crack them open. So that's the difference in the two. You can easily crack a calm yeast. Calm yeast is, say, totally harmless, but totally harmless to strong
robust
people. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So totally harmless to a minute version of the population. I don't eat calm yeast. It's not something that I go yay yum, but I'll strain it off if we've got it in our home ferments. Because it's not, we don't eat it, but the ferment itself will still be friendly. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Unlike mold, so mold we just don't muck around with. Mold, if it grows on your ferments at all, then I just start over, throw the whole batch away, and it's not anything I muck around with. I don't pick its different colours. I just go with mold. It has a little tendril that drops down to whatever vessel it's in to hit the bottom of the vessel and then bloom at the top. So the mold is its flower, and so if it's done a flowering, it's obviously dropped its tendril. It's not something I want to eat.
Yeah. And I think even with the yeast, if you have someone with a severely compromised immune system or really severe gut issues, you might want to look at generally temperature's one, but also closed vessels for people. If you're a beginner and you're dealing with a child with gut issues, that might be a good way to avoid it potentially. What other tips have you got?
In general, kombuchas and kefirs, or especially kombuchas, keep them away from oranges and potatoes.
Okay.
Yep, they have spores that come on off, and that will make your kombucha moldy. Keep an eye on the time as to how long they've been fermenting for. So you can kill your kefir grains if you don't take them off their liquid soon enough. You end up with pickled kefir grains. For pickles, like vegetable pickles, watch your salt ratios. So 5% is like an all-rounder happy percentage for a brine. So those of you who know what I'm speaking or don't know what I'm speaking about, a 5% brine is your salt to water ratio inside your jars. So when you're making up a pickle, the brine that you add, if you stick with a 5% brine, you're more likely to have success. A lot of recipes will go down to like a 2% brine, but
I don't find it's like, I love salt, and I just find that I noticed that the salt's not there when you go down that road. It doesn't like, you want the salty sour effect. I think 5 is perfect.
5's good. It does depend how much liquid the vegetable itself yields. So carrots, for example, aren't going to give a lot of liquid. So they can, you can play with that one a little bit. But cucumbers, you have to. So pickled cucumbers. Somebody wants to know some tips. So that's my all-time favourite. So pickled cucumbers. Your variation of cucumbers is one thing. So you've got to think of how crispy your cucumber is to begin with. The seed part in the centre will go mushy because its liquid content is higher. So when you put something inside a pickle, the osmosis, so the water, salt, equilibrium thing that happens, if you've got a large seed area with a lot of water in it, it's going to try and release a lot of that water into the brine, which means you're going to end up with a mushy cucumber. So if you've got a crispy, small, seeded area cucumber, is going to release less water, therefore go less mushy. Does that make sense?
My mouth is watering because I'm thinking about, we went down to Victoria, and we dropped into the fermentory, and they gave me one of the cucumbers, and it was like sort of a spiritual experience, and I had my mouth, every time I think of the cucumbers now, my mouth starts, and I'm desperate to make some, but my husband just killed a lot of cucumber plants, so so I'm gonna have to, I don't know, think of something.
Try again. So type of cucumber, if you can get those little proper ones, then great, but just pick a cucumber when it's smaller. Your brine, the other thing to put in is a tannin of some description to help it stay crisp. So oak leaves, cherry leaves, vine leaves, tea bags, mulberries. I find celery works really well. So celery's got a natural kind of crisping agent inside it. So if you can put celery leaves on the top of your cucumber ferment, it helps to really keep them crisp as well. Adds a nice flavour. But celery leaves, I can go generously with your leaf portion, not like one celery leaf that's going to do
That
diddly squat. It's like a bunch of celery in like the top quarter of your jar. So that's the kind of volume of leaves you want to add, not one. Yeah.
Added my celery leaf.
I added my leaf, I'm good. And then thyme. So it's got a good indicator on the cucumbers. Cucumbers, when they go in, they're fluorescent green. When they're ready, they're like an olivey green. So they slowly change colour over time. And then just take them out, crunch it if it's ready, chuck it in the fridge. Do not leave it on your bench. Put it in the fridge, and it will preserve that nice crunchiness. Yeah.
Oh, it's on my to-do list at some point. I guess I'd like to talk about, well, first of all, I wanted to ask you if there's what's on your bucket list to make that you haven't made yet? Like a really exotic one.
Yes, I guess at the moment I'm really drawn to the Japanese ferments. It seems to be, I think people posting about them makes you want to do them more. But there seems to be a lot of really cool fermenters that have been over there and posting some really cool things happening from Japan. But their beds, they're fermenting beds. I want to get one of them going. Yeah, the rice bran beds. So that's my bucket list, is to go to Japan, learn that art, and then play with that at home. That would be awesome. I imagine having like a bucket of pickles on your bench.
You could see, there's the thing is, you can do this in your fermentory. You can have
like buckets of stuff. Just cool. It'll be very cool.
And what's the best ferment you think you've ever made?
I don't know. It's a hard one.
It's hard because you go through phases.
I know.
Like little love affairs.
Totally. I used to love kefir. Like that was like such a passion. But then I just...
You just get to a stage where you're like,
I'm done.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, I have not turned off kavass. Like kavass will drink daily.
It's not possible.
I'm totally fine with kimchi.
Those two are my favourites. But they stand out from the crowd, don't they?
They do. Yeah, I think there's the addictiveness of kimchi because it's chili, spicy, and garlic as well.
Garlic.
So you draw back in
tons of garlic. I just love it.
So your mouth waters when you put it in from the chili, the garlic, the ginger. And then it starts to heat up from the chili, so then you put another piece in your mouth which is cool, and it cools it all down, and then it builds up and makes your mouth water again, so you put another piece in, and then it's like this
addictive process. My baby is addicted. Like, he loves
So my kids used to call it kimchi chili because they couldn't say just kimchi, and they were like young, like 18 months old, and they would drink the juice of the kimchi jar. Yeah, they love it.
That's the thing. I think if you've been lucky enough to know this before you have your pregnancy, or you just ate chili against everybody's advice through pregnancy, kids will actually eat it at a young age.
They do. And I think you need to be sensible. You're not going to give them like a bird's eye chili. No. But if you, the kimchi chili isn't like normal chilies. The way they do it in Korea is they'll take the chili, they'll take out the seeds and the white part. So most of the capsaicin is held in that, and then they dry it. So it's a bit like a hot paprika, more than a chili.
And it has just such a beautiful flavour because you add more in because it's so mild.
I know. It's like smoky and gorgeous. You guys have got to make kimchi. It's just divine.
My mouth is watering. Let's talk equipment. So if people are starting out, do you have good resources for websites,
where to get stuff,
books, and supplies and things like that?
Yeah, sure. So I guess starting out, I like to start simply. I don't think you need to go and buy a kit and caboodle to start fermenting, and this is what we teach in the workshops, is start simply with just a normal jar, learn how to ferment, learn the process of the fermentation, and then you can upscale as much as you want and buy other things. I know airlocks and all these kind of systems make it a little foolproof, but I think then you're missing the understanding of what's happening. So then your troubleshooting down the track doesn't make it's a bit harder. So we teach in jars. So just a wide mouth jar so you can fit your fist in. I think that's really important. One, to shove in the sauerkraut, and secondly, to get the last pickle out the jar.
Yes, good point.
Yeah,
I like that recommendation. We bought in the beginning like wide mouth. We're like, and then we bought a case like 24 of the wrong ones.
Oh no.
I'm like, okay, no. Bone broth. Yeah. But still, I even like the wide mouth for bone broth.
Yeah, I know.
Just defrost it anyway.
Yeah. Makes it, you can get it out of the jar.
So make sure you do that.
Yeah, wide mouth jars.
Wide mouth.
Oz Farmers online are a great resource to be able to post stuff to you guys. Also, Emporium, what's her name?
Organico.
Yes. Kitzer.
Organico. I'm surviving on 3 hours sleep last night. Forgive me if I'm a little bit giggly and vague. That's why.
So they have excellent stuff as well. Good resources. You can buy scobies and starters from a few different fermentories around. So it depends on where you are. So Bucci up in Queensland, fermentory down in Melbourne. You've got Emporio, you've got Imbibe, and places in New South Wales.
And Nourish Me Organics.
Nourish Organics, yeah. Nourish Me Organics have them as well. Come to the farmers market and see me. I've got starter kits and kombucha scobies and stuff there.
I got you to bring, like, I need to start up again. I should have said bring grains.
Bring grains. So that's where you get your starters from, and then jars. Stick, if you can, if you're going to invest in jars, stick with Italian jars, like your Bramiglio Rocco, your Fido, all those kind of nice ones, because they're a solid jar. Don't go and buy, go to the
Woolies.
cheap shop. No, don't go buy a $1 or $2 jar. And their glass is less, what's the word? They're not made well, and so you potentially have lead in them that leach out through the fermentation process. Right. So stick with a good glass. You're dealing with high acid foods sometimes, so a good Italian glass is meant for high temperature cooking is going to give you a great result with a ferment. And if you're wanting a swing top as well, go with the good quality ones, because that rubber seal is vitally important for allowing to seal well and only let the oxygen and CO2 escape. So let the CO2 escape, not the oxygen come on in. The cheaper rubber seals will just
it's
bad in all kinds of ways.
It's false economy. They are cheaper, but they don't last at all.
No, and you'll get leakages and stuff. Yeah.
What do you think? Have you tried the new? It's like, I know it's an airlock system, but the new rubber seals that go into the mason jar.
Yeah, so they're great actually. I haven't. Yeah, so they go inside the bowl jars.
Yeah.
So if you get the bowl jar systems, which you can buy from like Big W and places like that, so bowl jar has a separate lid. So you have the flat lid that goes on top, and then the ring that screws it down. And these little things sit down first, and then the ring goes on top. So you have this ability for CO2 to come out and no oxygen go in. Look, for beginners, they're great. I lose my little bits and pieces, so I stick with the jars. So I have big 4-litre swing top Fido jars that I use. I like Crocs.
The Fido jars are really
good, and they're pretty economical. Like if you invest in a jar, you're probably paying $28 for a 3-litre one. So it's not massive.
And you just start with one, then get two, then get three, and then you need another.
Keep going. Exactly. Yeah. And you can get Crocs, like proper fermenting Crocs, which are great, and they're awesome for a ferment you know well, is probably my advice. If you know how it works, you've done it in smaller sizes, then you can go to a crock. The thing with the crock is you can't see it, it's not glass. So you don't know what's going on. So if you're new to fermenting and you're opening up all the time, it kind of defeats the purpose of having the crock and the water ring seal to begin with. But there are some beautiful crocks coming out. So places like Kinfolk Co are doing gorgeous ones. Pomegranate down in Victoria, amazing ones as well. So there's some really beautiful handmade, amazing crocks. So have a look online for some beautiful ones.
Yeah, it is. That's a tricky one. It's definitely, I think, have to be an advanced.
Just need to have done it a couple of times.
Particular one, because it is frustrating when you go, okay, I'm going to do my however many litres, and you dig it out and it's all mushy. There was someone that asked about milk kefir and smelly socks. Yes, I wanted to talk about that. I was surviving on. I just had no idea what I did to get the smelly socks effect. Was I put my kefir grains back, and this is when I was just learning, back in the fridge with a little bit too much fresh milk, and so they didn't ferment the fresh milk fast enough, and so.
And how long did they stay in the fridge for?
A while, but I think the milk turned before, like maybe the milk wasn't super fresh, and the milk turned before the grains could ferment it. And then I don't know how it happened. That was my suspicion anyway. But I kept using them, and so it would ferment the milk, but it was like, it didn't taste as good as it used to, and so it tastes fermented and sour, but it also has a hint of
like blue cheese kind of thing
at the end, and sort of like a bit of weird bit, not sour, but sort of bitterness. And I just kept going, and I thought,
she'll be right.
Maybe it just ages, like maybe it just like with the natural sort of bacteria in the air here, it just sort of adapts to my environment, and this is its flavour. For 6 months, Jane, and survived. I'm here to tell the tale, but I wouldn't recommend this at all. So
I'd say
it has to taste fresh and sour.
It should taste. It's like the champagne of milk. So it should be a fizzy milk. There is a sourness to it, like it's going to have some acidity. there.
Sour's fine, but it was like this weird.
Ours has turned pink before, so we've done it so far and forgotten it, like way in the back of the fridge it was pink, but revived it. If you have milk kefir grains that you're worried about, the thing is they're a SCOBY. They're a community of bacteria and yeast that are living together, and they need the right food to be able to produce the right things. If they haven't got the right foods, they're going to try and hang on to whatever there is. You can wash them, but wash them in milk. So what I do is put them into a clean jar of milk and give them like a vigorous shaking, and pour that milk out like 3 to 4 times, and then give them a really good like wash in a bowl of milk to get all their little folds and nooks and crannies out.
They
of
are
the
very much
old
like
culture.
cauliflower.
They are, curly things. So if you really scrub them well in the fresh milk, that little pellicule, like that little globule of things, should theoretically then brew you fresh, nice, beautiful kefir. I still throw away my first 2 batches just to be sure. But usually it brings it back from almost.
And I think I really think when it comes to doing these sorts of things is that it's really important to hi Carsten and Kelly.
Kelly, oh my gosh, she's back this side of the world.
I think it's really important to, I guess, go to a workshop to taste what it should taste like. And then...
Yeah, absolutely. I think if you have the opportunity, if you're in somewhere where there are workshops happening, then if you can go, you get hands-on experience. You get to see, taste, feel what's right and what's not right, and have the confidence. So I was lucky enough to be able to go down to Sydney and see Sandor when he came across to Australia, and to see what he was doing. It wasn't so much that he was teaching us. It was like, this is what you've been doing, and this is the right way. You've got it. You're fine. And it just gave us the confidence to go, okay, we're good. And it's... I think hands-ons are great, even if you're an experienced fermenter. Just that camaraderie and be able to, kind of throw ideas around and push the boundaries a bit as well is excellent. Like, there's amazing people doing amazing things with things like milk kefir. So that beautiful, the Black Sheep School over in America, making raw cheeses out of with milk kefir. So making the milk kefir and then leaving it to age and build out molds on the outside and doing like incredibly awesome cheeses with a milk kefir base. So there's some really cool things happening out there.
I just think, imagine like how far we've come in the last 5 to 10 years. What is going to be available at our fingertips in the next 5 to 10 years? It's speeding up. Everyone's doing fermentation. We have more artisans kind of doing.
And the understanding too, I think, of the government bodies who do the regulatory things. So there's so much regulations that are happening around this kind of food because they've been scared for so long, not knowing what's going on. But now they're starting to relax a little bit because we're able to prove
it's such a new fandangle. Like,
but we're now able to come back with science and go, no, this is these are my acids, my pHs, these are the bacteria that are growing. These bacteria are now being proven as probiotics. This is a benefit to people. So it's now the science is finally catching up with traditions to be able to make those government bodies who are here for our safety apparently happy with what we're doing. Which is good.
It's a good thing.
So it should unlock more, I'm hoping.
Hopefully that will extend all the way to raw dairy in Australia, like it is in every other country in the world, bar Scotland and Canada. Anyway, enough about that. Any books? Obviously, aside for anyone who missed the start of the call, Holly Davis's book.
Amazing.
You can't top this as a guide to fermentation. Awesome. Beginners and advanced, it's a work of art.
Absolutely.
What else?
So the Fermentory released a book as well.
Oh, yes.
So that one's gorgeous. Then you've got drinks from Imbibe, so drinks and tonics. You've got
Sandor's books.
Sandor Kraut. So if you're wanting to start with fermentation, I love his Wild Fermentation. That's a really cool book. It's in its 3rd edition now, so that's a really awesome book. If you're wanting to delve more into the history of fermentation and get more of a science background as well, of learning where these cultures came from and why they're kind of around, then The Art of Fermentation is an amazing read. I love Pascal Bauer over in America. He's wild. He's doing wildcraft brewing, and he does foraging and like really some awesome things.
Are you going to write a book?
We'll get there.
Get the brewery up and running first.
That's it.
Probably the wrong day to ask.
One thing at a time. Yeah, there's some really beautiful books. I mean, my bookshelf's probably quite full of. I've probably got 10 books that I flick back through every now and again, just for things. Nourishing Traditions has a lovely ferment section in it. So some of your traditional books, like your Nourishing Traditions, have fermenting in them along the way. So it's not a fermenting book, but it's got some really cool recipes along the way. And I'll just, like, a little word of warning, I suppose. The internet's an awesome resource. It also allows anyone to write anything. So just maybe pick 3 recipes and kind of do a melding of those 3, because some of the things, like, add cabbage water and salt in a jar, leave it for 12 hours, and then you have sauerkraut, which is safe for 12 months, is not safe.
I think start with books. and
books are
workshops
good.
because they're well researched. They're, you know, you can't just throw anything into a book. It's their best work.
Yeah.
And that's always very reliable.
Yeah.
I guess the only thing with nourishing traditions, some of the methods are a little bit older, like using whey with vegetables.
They are.
So I think newer books. I think
I agree.
the more in the last 5-10 years.
Last 5 years we've had a real explosion of really cool book writers.
Yeah.
And there's some excellent blogs out there. So I said, just cross-reference. Just find some, find a recipe you love, and then go, okay, who else has written one that's similar? Or I'm wanting sauerkraut. Let me look for 3 different sauerkraut recipes, and then go from there. Because I know some, for example, kvass. Most recipes that are around the internet use an extreme amount of salt, or they use whey as a starter. So if you're following that and you make it once, you go, that tasted terrible.
You're blowing off kvass.
Yeah, you're blowing off kvass, and it's an amazing drink. So maybe just,
buy one of yours, try one of Jane's.
Try one of mine. No, then you know what you're looking for.
Do you ship everywhere?
We do. We ship all around Australia.
Wow, it's dangerous.
I know. We try to send 6 at a time because postage for 1 bottle is the same as 6.
Okay.
So we try to do 6, so then we save you guys on postage.
So like a week's supply for
a week's supply for Georgia. That's it.
Is there anything else? I don't have anything else on my list that I wanted to ask you, but my list wasn't very long. Is there anything else that you like to talk about when it comes to fermentation?
I guess experiment is my big thing. Just because I love kvass or just because I love sauerkraut and kimchi doesn't mean you're going to. So don't feel that you have to like those particular recipes to like fermentation. Absolutely,
so many out there.
So you might love kombucha, or you might love coconut yogurt, or fermented turmeric or something. Just have a play and experiment and try different things. I think you said on your page recently too, in that a rainbow of ferments is so much better than just one.
Overdosing
frequently.
on one, going, I need my probiotics and overdosing.
Absolutely. So if you can eat a rainbow, just like vegetables, the more variety you eat, the more variety of bacteria there is, the better your gut's going to be overall.
Yeah.
Just experiment and play and try, and don't be afraid if something's botched up. I was saying on my page today that there's been many experiments that go into my garden that just do not work, but just try again. Don't be discouraged. It could have been the weather, it might have been the travel time of your vegetable to get to your house. That's a big thing because the microbes aren't so alive. So buy as fresh and as local as you can.
Tell you what, that is a big one. That's actually a really good tip, because I've been doing a lot of gluten-free sourdoughs in our house recently, and I've done them before but not for years and years and years, and the activity of the starters is just, and people often struggle with gluten-free sourdough, and it's one of those things that it's sort of a bit hit and miss, where rye and wheat are actually much easier, perfectly designed to do that, but I cannot kill them. Like I'm being so negligent as a parent to the starter, not to my son. That's why I'm being negligent to the starters, but because they're freshly ground, just amazing. And biodynamically grown, and it just I can't believe the difference. So I think
amazing.
It is really important to get fresh veggies. It's a big one.
So it's coming. Your microbes for fermentation come from the soil. So as soon as you harvest it, then those microbes start to drop off. There's going to be natural yeast that will stay on, but as soon as you pick it from the soil, the count of microbes is going to start to deplete. So if you imagine that something's been in cold storage for 8 months, it's going to take a lot more to encourage those microbes, So if you try something and doesn't quite work, it might be that it's been a long time coming to your house to get there.
And obviously organic where possible.
Totally.
It makes a big difference.
Well, the soil's so much more alive. So that's what it is. It makes it easier for you guys. So getting organic means that you're not having to work so hard to get a good ferment. That said, if you can't access organic, fermenting is a wonderful thing to do, because it actually has been shown to break down some of those harmful chemicals.
Totally. So that's pretty cool.
Yep.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I think that's all I wanted to ask you. Anything else at all?
I think we're good.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm very tired. I'm sorry.
She's so good.
So, tell us, where can we find you online?
So I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and I have a website.
Yep.
So just Wholefood Family, come find me there.
Yep.
I'm probably more active on Instagram than Facebook because I'm a picture person, so I quite like to flick through my Instagram. Shoot me through a message if there's something you're looking for or can't find. I run workshops generally in the Hunter region, but I do travel, so just depends on where we're going. Always happy to catch a flight somewhere. Come find me, come chat.
Okay, awesome. How cool was that? And if you have questions, I'm sure, are you happy to stick around?
Absolutely.
And answer them?
Totally.
We love a chat. So for anyone who didn't catch the start of the call, there's a competition on Eat Drink Paleo, giving away a ticket to my What to Eat program, which starts in 2 weeks, so keep an eye out for that. And we're actually starting our competition on the Stirring Change page and in my What to Eat chat group, which you can join. It's open to everybody, and we're giving away a ticket on each one. You can absolutely join both if you want to, and I'll be announcing the winners on Saturday. I'm doing another Facebook Live talking about gelatin. And I'll be back next Wednesday interviewing Shalani McRae from Live Alive, another gut health guru.
Nice, awesome.
I don't know what we're talking about because I can talk to her about anything as
Awesome.
well.
Awesome.
Okay, bye everyone.
See you guys.
Thank you.